When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
So welcome everybody to episode 5 of the Premier League Cricket Show. Can't believe I'm saying it's episode 5. We're only 3 weeks in, but we've been moving pretty quickly. I'm with Hugh again. How are you doing, Hugh?
How are we doing?
We've had some really interesting guys on so far, haven't we? What's been your highlight so far with the 4 episodes we've had?
I mean, it's difficult to pluck single highlights out, but it's just talking to people with great knowledge about the different leagues, clubs, different parts of the country, that kind of thing. So yeah, just having a bit of fun with them and finding out good insights. We've had some good off the record chats as well that we can't always report, but it all adds to the picture that we like to bring together.
Yeah, I think that's key. Those chats we might have before we start recording afterwards are really insightful as to things in and around those leagues around the country. And you know, what's really apparent to me in particular, when we've talked about the Liverpool comp with Tom Evans, we've talked about the home counties with Andy Rishton. Congratulations, by the way, to Andy. He got married last weekend, so that there's our first wedding of the Premier League Cricket Show.
Good of him to do it in the winter as well. You know, we're making sure that keeping his priorities.
He did say his fiancée was great, so proven there. And then down to South Wales. So we've got Liverpool, home counties in South Wales. And the one thing that stood out for me is they're so different, those 3 leagues, aren't they? They're all ECB Premier Leagues, but they're so different.
Well, you've got different rules, different regs, different pitches, different sort of groups of players, overseas in some leagues, no overseas in other leagues. So yeah, I was surprised by the lack of overseas in the South Wales comp. That's an interesting one, and obviously something that Brad's pushing for. But yeah, you kind of think it's sort of a must-have for a Premier League side. So it's interesting that that's not allowed, and whether that will come in. I don't think it was coming in this year, but they seemed hopeful that maybe it will come in the next couple of seasons.
Be interesting to do almost a survey to find out which league has each individual rule around that way, and everyone's different. Whether it's got to be a paid pro or an amateur overseas in some leagues as well. There's all kinds of variations, and we've got another one coming up now. We're going to be talking to Ben Bodha shortly from Grappenhall Cricket Club in Cheshire. Again, interesting the way they operate compared to others, but he has his own say what he thinks he'd like as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, Ben's a really good chat. But spent a bit of summer chatting with Ben as well, so it's quite a friendly wander through the Cheshire Prem. And he refused to speak to us till the season was done, so that he wouldn't curse anything. And it proved to be an exceptionally tight finish to that league. So it was a really good chat, and he can relax for a few more weeks, and then I'm sure the post-Christmas panic will set in for him and all the other clubs as they all of a sudden the few days pass, but actually the season seems much closer once Christmas has been and gone.
Definitely, and obviously our most recent episode before this one was our first one with our friends at the NCCA. Richard gave us a really good insight into what's going on there, and he's doing a fantastic job, I think, in bringing those 20 counties, publicity-wise, bringing them far more to the fore than they ever have been. But there's still a long way to go, isn't there?
Yeah. Another really fascinating chat. I mean, Richard was fantastic, and he's got such a big job on his hands, and it's such a small staff, minuscule really, to do that job. But he seemed to have the energy and the drive to do it, and hopefully just expand the reach of the NCCA, expand the publicity, just get more people viewing it, involved in it. It's going to be interesting to watch the NCCA through the summer and next year as well, and how it sort of becomes more visible, I think, in our sort of cricket ecosystem, in a similar way that you've got the European cricket coming in on a regular basis. People start to be aware of all that, just using the social media and other media channels to expand its reach. So I'm thinking it'll be, if we look in 2-3 years' time, the NCCA will be a much bigger thing than it is now.
You hit the nail on the head with the European cricket. This pod's going out now in the week that the England women's 11 are playing in the European Championships, looking very strong. The ladies are looking very strong, led by Ciara Green of Sussex. But they've got an old foe, shall we call it, in European cricket against the Netherlands. That looks to be the tough one. They beat them yesterday in their first game in the group, but they've got another game to come. I think it's Thursday, then finals day on Friday. But anyone who's listening to this now, you can tune in on YouTube on the European Cricket Channel and you can watch the England women for free. And there's some incredibly talented women from across the whole country there. And it's been pointed out by the commentators, interestingly, a number of times. The first time this group of ladies have ever played together is the first time they've ever all met together as well. So to gel that quickly, to be able to that's a really tough job for anyone. But Richard's out there and hopefully we'll get to chat with him later on this week. Looking after Christmas ourselves, Hugh, we've got some interesting leagues that we've already got in the bag to put out there as well. So we're going to be talking Essex Premier League coming up. Gavin Griffiths was brilliant there. I think we enjoyed Ollie Freckingham in the Leicester League, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a good chat as well. Yeah, there's a lot come out of that. And that's a very interesting league. It's quite close to where I grew up, so I know a few of the names and things around there as well. And lots of sort of Leicester players playing in that league. It's a very, very pro-heavy league, which is really nice, really high standard. So that was good. Now, I'm also looking at what's going to be happening post-Christmas, transfers, those kind of things, team plans, preparation. It'd be nice jumping back in with a few of the people we chatted to and what their plans are and how they get ready for the season. Just nick a few ideas and share them about with everybody.
Yeah, it's interesting how we can see it on socials, various clubs getting themselves stuck into indoor training now, and one or two are doing a bit of strength and conditioning and starting to build up. And clearly the Premier Leagues are trying to mirror, is the easiest way of putting it, something that the counties would do. I look at Sawley Cricket Club in Derbyshire, who have been doing S&C work and a bit of indoor nets for almost 6 weeks now. So they've been really at it, ready to get into that full, get ready for the Premier. I've seen Bath have been doing it, and our friend Rob Maggs down there has been doing it. They've been indoors. And I think once we get to January, it'll be non-stop, all that indoor work, getting ready for the season. Yeah.
I'm also going to do a poll on Twitter account / Instagram account, activity versus league position, I think, because my sort of hunch is these teams with these proactive Twitter accounts, these proactive Instagram accounts, are also the proactive cricket clubs that are preparing for the season and thinking ahead and all those kind of things. So it's an interesting correlation there, but I'll be very surprised if the two aren't tightly matched.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we'll find in January, we'll probably sort of wrap up any of the little reviews that we've done of the previous season. And we're going to sort of start moving towards 2024 season then, aren't we? Getting ready for it. We will be covering the European Champions League as well when our friends at Wimbledon and Hornchurch go out there. I am told that there is a significant number of Hornchurch fans going out there with them as well. And it sounds like that, I think it's week commencing the 26th of Feb out in Cartama. It's going to be a bit of an English takeover, which the European cricket guys are really looking forward to, definitely.
I'm sure they are. And Ryanair are looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, I think flights and hotels are already starting to become a premium in Benalmadena for that week with Wimbledon.
Is that how you pronounce that? I've never even thought about how to pronounce that. But I've never pronounced it like that.
It's my first stab at Benalmadena, and my mate Vinny Sandu will, I'm sure, tell me if I'm wrong when they're listening to this. Shall we get into our pod with Ben and have a listen about the Cheshire League and look back on what was actually quite a thrilling end to the season in Cheshire, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it was a really, really, really tight finish. It went all ways. So yeah, you'll hear it all with Ben very shortly.
Definitely. And as the title of this pod is, it really is the closest league in the whole of the country. Hope everyone enjoys this one. Right, hi everyone, welcome. Today with us, we've got joining us from Grappenhall Cricket Club is Ben Bodha. How are we doing, Ben?
Morning, Ian. How you doing, guys? Yeah, all well here.
Good to see you, mate.
Are we pronouncing your surname correctly as well, Ben?
Yeah, you are. Bodha, silent W in there.
Look at that, good effort.
That makes a change for me and Hugh to pronounce something correctly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And joining us, as you can tell, once again, is the statistician of all statisticians. It's Mr. Hugh Newsom. How you doing, mate?
They play cricket hacker, I think, is probably more relevant.
On that note, the reason for this call is to talk about one of the leagues, and that is the Premier League in Cheshire. It's been a fascinating season in Cheshire. There's no two ways about it, with some incredible sort of last day scenarios going on as well. And at the top of the league, Alderley Edge won the league by 1 point on the final day. And we might come to the story of how they won that later on, because it was really, really interesting. Didsbury came second, Hyde came third. And at the bottom, we've got Brooklands and Cheadle, both got relegated. Fourth from bottom, and that's why he's here, is Ben Bodha from Grappenhall, who escaped on the final day of the season in a tussle with Alderley Edge side, you won it. So a great end to the season for you guys. Let's go back to the very sort of core of the season for you, Ben. Apart from you guys being fourth from bottom, was there any other noticeable surprises from clubs or players that you saw throughout the year?
Yeah, well, we'd come up from Division 1 previous year, and we'd come second in Division 1. Cheadle had won it, and so I guess we were the two newcomers, and both of us were sort of fighting it at the bottom end all season. Probably two of the clubs that were just head and shoulders above the rest was Alderley and Didsbury. Alderley probably had the best batting lineup, and Didsbury the best bowling lineup. And then after that, everyone was really bunched up together. And then probably halfway through the season, there was 2 or 3 clear at the top, and a couple cut adrift at the bottom. And coming into the final sort of 5-6 games after the rain through July, pretty unusual season that everyone at the bottom just kept beating everyone through the middle and the top. And that was probably the surprise of the season. I think you needed about 250 odd points to stay up, which in the previous years you'd have come mid-table with that.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at you've got the top two, Alderley on 379, Didsbury 1 point back, 378, Hyde then 50 odd points behind, 329. And then your bottom clubs, Brooklands 222, going down at the bottom, 234 Cheadle, and then Toff then up on 245. So statistically, the closest league in the country in terms of top to bottom. The average gap between the bottom and the top, the rain and things has affected that through the summer with points being split. But it's proved that to be an exceptionally close league.
I think it sums up what happened at your place on the last day of the season there, didn't it, in terms of closeness? So Alderley Edge went into the final day of the season needing, was it 5 points to win the league?
Yeah, they needed 5. Relegation was in our hands in that if we won, we would stay up. I think we were 10th, but Cheadle below us had sort of probably won 3 or 4 on the spin, so we were pretty certain they'd win it. They were playing at home against Oxford, and then Toft were playing Widnes, and we kind of thought, right, both of those teams probably going to win, so we needed to get 25 points. And then you always try and think, should you bat first and should you bowl first? And then we play win, lose, draw format, so you always need 10 wickets if you bat first to 25. And then really tight game. Didsbury won their match at 1 o'clock, bowled them out for 50. So Alderley Edge were kind of under pressure there, and I think they needed 130 for the 5th batting point, which would get them the win, and they scraped to 145 or so and celebrated the trophy at our place.
They celebrated winning the trophy at your place. I think I've looked earlier, they were 76 for 6, in a bit of trouble to be frank, but then Chris Sanders got them up to 135. They'd won the league then and lost the last 4 wickets for 15 runs. Without putting words into your mouth, basically once they got to that point, they didn't give a monkeys.
Yeah, something like that. I think the mode of dismissal being stumped or caught long on
right
off our spinners.
I'm just thinking, Hugh, and I'm a bit older than you two, but can you imagine what that would have been like 20 years ago without play cricket?
I don't know. No, I can't imagine a world without play cricket. It's like, does a tree fall in the woods? If a match isn't on play cricket, did it actually happen?
Exactly. 20 years ago, there'd be phone calls left, right, and centre. They'd have probably sent a spy down to the ground to find out what was cracking off. Whereas now, everyone's just sat there, look at the phone, going, "We're done. Thank you very much, lads."
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, especially with video streams and things like that. It's brilliant on these close days when you can, especially if the game's finished, you can all pile on and watch your rivals and how they're getting on.
Definitely. Hey, let's look at some of the stats from the season, Hugh. Let's have a start with the batters.
Yeah, so I've just been looking at Division 2. There we go. Jumping Division 1. So top 2, as Ben said, Sam Perry and Ben Kohler-Cadmore, which is a very familiar name. Top 2, 859 and 751 runs at 53 and 41. So those are the top two batters in the league. And then Brooklands with a pair of top run scorers, which is very interesting considering they went down. So they must have been, didn't have a lot of a supporting cast there. Kevin Carroll, Todd Woodlands, both over, both 700 and 678 runs, high 30s. And then, down to Luke Young at Hyde, 669, and Andre Yaxender, which is a cracking second name. I mean, brilliant name of the year for me, 651 at 38. So there's some plenty of runs about. I mean, how did the wickets play, Ben? Were they, obviously with the weather being what it was, were they still decent wickets through the season? The groundsmen doing good jobs, or were they hard to play?
No, pretty good wickets throughout. I think definitely compared to the previous year, lower scoring, more games rained off, and obviously more sort of wetter wickets than there would have been in the previous year. And you see that from the tallies at maybe one player above 800. But you see there with I think the top 2 lads are both from the same club as well, Alderley. So it's quite funny. They won the league with the top 2, and then Brooklands had the next 2. But very interesting there.
It shows you need depth, don't you? I mean, that's the thing. You can't rely on one or two guys. It's that depth is everything. But again, in such a close league, it's one or two results going Brooklyn's way, and they're mid-table. It's as simple as that. So you can't sort of blame the rest of the supporting cast there. I think it's just been a particularly difficult season for everybody, and a brilliant season for anybody watching from afar. And hopefully now you've come out of it and a bit more relaxed. You've thoroughly enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, it's always easy to look back on fondly, and the run chases that we messed up, you kind of look back on and laugh. How do we manage that? But yeah, I mean, pretty tense, needing to beat the champions basically to stay up. Pretty tough scenario for us.
What was the biggest muck up you had with a run chase?
I think penultimate game against Nantwich, they were sort of mid-table, nothing to play for. They might have made about 200, probably about par.
Mm-hmm.
We were about 160 for 4 or 150 for 4. I went in and got out, which started the collapse. We had a run out of the set batsman, and then we kind of just folded from there. And then we went again and got really close. And then I think we lost by about 10. Just the way the points work, if you lose in that scenario, you don't come away with anything. So it's kind of 25 or nothing. So that was probably the worst one.
What's the changing room like after that? Is it a negative changing room? Are you all getting grumpy, or are you quite positive and go again sort of thing? What's the reality of it? Not what we want to hear.
That one in particular was actually more relaxed than most. Eddie, one of our players, had a bit of a squared up to one of their lads, and we were all still laughing about that. And then I think with it being one game to go, still in our control, there's all you can do really there is go right, win next week. We're at home as well in the last game. Win and we're safe. So
against the top club,
who only needed 5 points to win the championship, but we're relaxed. It's fine, no problem.
Yeah. We're one of those teams. Our home form was brilliant. Our away form was not so good. So
bad travellers.
I think so. Yeah, I'm sure you can dig up some stats, but I think of our 7 wins, maybe 5 of them would have been at home, and we had the rained off games at home as well. So we won the majority of the home ones.
I do tend to do my end of season home stick awards. I haven't done that, but that's player based. The biggest discrepancy between home and away runs. So I'll have a look at that, and I'll see if I can pick some of you guys out. Just moving on to the wickets then. Steve Green, who's top of lots of charts, 60 wickets for Disbury at 11. I mean, that's pretty good. Jordan Collier at Oxton, 54 at 15. And then Tom McCurry at Grappenhall. A terrific season for you guys coming over from New Zealand. 52 wickets at 17.5, which was, and runs as well, which we'll come on to.
Yeah.
Jack Williams, Chester Broughton Hall, 47 at 19. And Ash Davis at Neston, 46 at 17. And just one jump down, AJ Hart didn't play as many games, I don't think, certainly didn't bowl as many overs, but 43 wickets at 14. So that's another from Brooklands there. So Brooklands, poor old Brooklands. Some quality run scorers and quality bowling there, and they've gone down. So hopefully for them they'll jump straight back up.
Five, Hugh. Interested in the top 5. Correct me if I'm wrong. No Alderley Edge bowlers.
No. I was looking at that earlier. Alderley Edge. Where's your first one? I think he's about 18th. Richard Wilkinson.
Wow.
33 wickets at 17. So
James Naylor as well. Maybe.
So have I missed that one out?
He didn't. He might have been mid-30s.
Yeah, he might. He is on page 2, I think. So yeah.
Says it all, doesn't it? But Alderley Edge there Ben. Just super, super strong with their batting.
Yeah, James Naylor, 36. Sorry, missed him there. James Naylor, 36 wickets at 20. Yeah. So yeah, it's very much. Is that wicket? More of a road, is a harder place to bowl on, or is it?
Yeah, I'd say always a good wicket at Alderley Edge. They play a lot of minor county games there.
Yeah.
So yeah, good track. I mean, when you're opening bats, the top 1 and 2 run scorers in the league, you're always chasing. I think until we sort of bowled them out on the last day, I think they'd had 2 or 3 270 plus run chases in a row with Perry or Cole Cadmore or both getting runs. So
yeah.
But then also they probably had the most balanced attack in you probably had 5 lads took 25 or more wickets. Left arm spinners, very good bowler as well, and a couple of seamers that they wouldn't they would bowl 10 overs a game rather than you sort of 3 bowlers bowling 17.
Whereas some of the other clubs have got these superstars who've taken 40, 50 wickets and then nothing behind them, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Definitely. What about the overseas guys in your league? Who stood out for you this season?
A guy at Didsbury who unfortunately had to go home for personal reasons with about... He'll be able to see because he might have only played Ed Newman. He only played maybe 14 games, and he was top of the run scorers when he left, and he still finished top 10. And he left in early August, I think.
Left 622 runs at 51. Yeah, so that's probably a league deciding a departure there, unfortunately, for Didsbury.
Yeah, it would have been. He made a 70 odd the week before against us. He was quality. Number top order Aussie bat. Yaxender, you pointed him out before, another Aussie, and then Tom McCurry, or Moxie's his nickname at our place. He it was a bit of a one man band at a couple of performances from him. So probably those guys. Just
remember, I mean, his batting didn't seem to fire until towards the end of the season. Then all of a sudden, he did a couple of terrific performances from him.
Yeah, I think he said himself, it might have been on about 100 runs at halfway, and then he scored like almost 500 in the second half.
Yeah,
and he made, every time he got runs, we won the game typically in the second half because he got them quickly and very powerfully. So his bowling was consistent throughout. His batting came good second half.
Yeah, I mean, just top two all rounders. Steve Green at Didsbury, 420 runs, 60 wickets. Tom McCurry, 568 runs and 52 wickets. And then Luke Young at Hyde, 669 and 43 wickets. So yeah, those two and Luke Young really standing out there.
Good numbers there for all rounders, though, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's always wonderful when you get an a overseas come in, and perform like that. It's always a little bit of, not always a little, but it can be a bit of a lottery in different conditions, different countries. So to come in and do so well is terrific work.
It's the chairman who's normally the most happy when that happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I played against Tom back when I was over there last winter. Secretly, I was probably quite pleased not to bring over a duffer. He settled it really well.
He came on your recommendation.
I played against him, and he might have got 60 and 3 or 4 wickets. And I went straight up to him in the bar and I said, "Mate, what are you doing?" And he was considering. He was considering. So
fantastic
game, and that's how it worked out. Yeah,
good stuff. And have you guys got him again next season?
I'm looking for some wood to touch. Fingers crossed. Still TBC, but yeah, hoping so. He's keen and he's been brilliant for us. So I'd hope so. And
he's settled into the club, which is the most important thing as well.
Yeah, well, he loves the outdoors. So being in Cheshire, he loves lake swimming and Ironman running. Yeah, quite an unusual combination. But he was out every day on.
Oh, they're Kiwis, man. I've got a Kiwi mate, and he does all sorts of stuff like that. They just like being outdoors and running about, don't they? So yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
River Mersey or River Dee? Did he get into either of them?
He didn't. He just went to Pickmere Lake. It's a lake in Cheshire Village somewhere, and he just literally swam around that every day for 6 months. So
that's one way to spend his winter. To be honest, our summer's no better than their bloody winter, is it, down in New Zealand, to be frank? So, what about the young players in your league, Ben, and the emerging talents? Is there somebody who's made an impact in particular that you maybe didn't know before the start of the season?
In terms of young players, I definitely knew him before the season because we signed him, but a guy called Arav Shetty joined Grappenhall, all-rounder, spinner, top-order bat, brilliant young player, trialled at a number of county twos as well. I think he was at Lancs, and then he went to Yorkshire and played against Lancs in the twos, which was interesting. So Arav was very promising. I'm trying to wrap my brain elsewhere. There's a lot of very experienced sort of guys in their mid to late 20s, 30 odd that tend to do well in our leagues. Yeah, particularly with it being sort of league cricket, red ball, sort of a long time to bat and stuff. So, but yeah, he impressed me certainly.
Yeah, I mean, Arav 614 runs at 32 for you guys, and 25 wickets at 19. And he played minor counties as well, did he? Off the top of my head,
I don't think he I'm not sure if he did or not. He played. We didn't see him very much during the week because he was just playing for county twos for one team or another, and he was making a lot of runs there as well.
Brilliant.
He was getting a permanent net during the week then.
Yeah, that was it. And he loves batting, Arav. He won't mind me saying that. So he was loving playing.
So let me ask you.
Cheshire, I think he played Cheshire maybe last year. Yeah.
Loaded question for you, Ben. Arav scored a lot of runs, likes his batting. You got the guys at the top, the Cola Cadmores, a lot of batting. It's win, lose or draw cricket though. Are you a fan or are you a win-lose fan?
Interesting one. It gets debated every year, and then nothing ever changes. The guy that writes the newsletter always puts in an interesting stat of how few games actually end in a draw. I think it's comfortably under 10% of games. So most games end in a result. I'd personally love to see a split format like you see in some of the Southern leagues where maybe half a season of the win-lose-draw, maybe half of win-lose. I think the bowling restrictions of being temper bowler needing, say, 5 and a 6 bowler, I think creates a totally different dynamic for a captain for a team. I think that's a really. Otherwise, you just get most teams just bowl 4 bowlers. Really, there's not much value in bowling 5 or 6. What about in your guys' leagues? Is it win lose or win lose draw?
Win lose down to Div 7, is it you?
Yeah, but I mean the thing is, I think the argument, no matter what you're playing, people are arguing the other. Yeah. So I've heard arguments going against win-lose, and I think it's a very difficult one. I don't think there's necessarily a right answer. I think, and it's quite interesting to see the different varieties around the country.
I'm a big believer in very simple ways of doing things, which is everyone should be playing the same, because then we could compare properly. Then, if someone's looking for a player to come from the Surrey Championship up to the north, well, if he's only played X type of cricket versus going to that type of cricket, it is difficult to compare. I look at what we play at international level, and we play Test match, ODI, T20, end of, done. So to me, the Prem should be all the equivalent of an ODI. 50 overs, either side, win, lose, full stop, end of story. And if they could make it that simple, great. But we know that every league, some of the point systems around the country are just bloody unbelievable, to say the least.
Yeah.
We can never compare like for like. It's physically impossible. But each to their own, as we say. Hey, look, we're coming towards the end of our chat about the Prem in Cheshire, Ben, but we need to look forward as well. Now, you've got a couple of clubs coming up, and you guys had, shall we say, a season you don't want to remember, but hey, you stayed up and you're back there. What are the key takeaways from this year for you, and what are you looking forward to with those clubs coming up next year?
Yeah, well, we've come up, and probably the biggest learning was what we did in Division 1. Some of it to go up, some of it works, but also some of it doesn't work. I think in the Prem, you find that most teams have probably got a top 6 or 7 that are all capable of scoring runs, whereas in Division 1, it was probably only 1 or 2 guys. So the depth of the teams is probably the biggest difference. And then teams are just very well organised as well in the field. They're not carrying fielders. They're not making obvious tactical errors or anything like that. They've all got very good spinners. The stats that Hughes just read out, most of those leading wicket takers are left arm spinners or good finger spinners. So, a different challenge. Yeah, Bodha have come up from Division 1. They're one of the closest teams to us. So it's an easy away day.
That's a proper derby for you guys.
Yeah, it is.
I picked out Xander Selby. Just having a look at Bowden. Is he Bowden, young lad, Lancashire Academy, 43 wicket. I think he's Bowden and not Timperley. Yeah, have you come across him?
Yeah. He was on the move actually last year, so his name got mentioned. I think he was from the Huddersfield League, actually from Delft. Yeah. But a couple. I think they got Glenn Chappell's son plays there.
Oh, is it Joe Chappell? Yeah, he's 38 wickets.
Left arm team. I think he might have averaged under 10 last year for them. Wow. So
9.21, I think.
There you go. So yeah, good. They've got a good young side, and then Timperley have always been a Prem club since I played senior cricket. They just went down and then come back up.
Yeah, just looking at their stats, they looked a little bit reliant on their overseas. Cadence Cooper is a Tasmanian leg spinner. 450 runs and 46 wickets. So they'll do well to re-sign him, but I think they could do with a bit more depth looking at their performances this year. Yeah,
he was probably the standout or one of the standouts in Division 1 with those numbers. Looks really good overseas for them.
And without obviously letting us into the secrets of what you guys are going to be doing over the winter, you've talked about depth. Is that something that Grappenhall will be looking to extend a little bit over the winter? You've done what I call a West Brom. You've got up there and just stayed up, haven't you? Yeah, but you now just want to make it a bit easier next time round.
I think so, yeah. I think for us, definitely adding a couple more players into the sort of the first team squad or group, like in case you're covering injuries or unavailability, and we've got a bit more quality. Obviously, you want to retain the group. Ideally, bring back McCrory, that so much sort of rested on his shoulder, his big 6'7" shoulders last year. And then we've lost Eddie Barnes. He's our one of the seamers. He's moving back to Yorkshire. So so he's gone. So potentially there's a gap there for either probably one of the younger lads to come in and fill his shoes.
And has the rumour mill started then around the Cheshire League generally?
Yeah, there's always there's not a Twitter account. There's like Liverpool.
You haven't got a Twitter? Oh, we'll start that one, Hugh.
Yeah.
Cheshire Cricket Rumours. There used to be one. I find them really funny. The Lancashire League Rumours. Ramsbottom seems to be, whoever they are, seems to be signing XYZ. And a bit of a merry-go-round, isn't there, in some of those leagues of players?
Yeah, I always find it fascinating how quick clubs are putting their hand up to say, and he's staying with us. To make ssure that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, does it?
No, most of our players leave us in February or March. So yeah.
Hey, it's been great talking to you, Ben, and we want to keep in touch for next season. Obviously, we want to be able to have a club in every league that we can turn on and say, look, let's have a chat each week. Hopefully, next year is not as difficult as it has been for you, but also I think the weather did make a big difference in July in particular, didn't it? So thanks for your time, and look forward to catching up again.
Cheers, guys. Yeah, pleasure being on.
Cheers, Ben. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the Cricket's Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram @TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform, as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.